Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Bandy Lee, forensic and social psychiatrist, president of the World Mental Health Coalition, and convener of the 2017 Yale conference that led to the New York Times bestseller, The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump. 27 psychiatrists and mental health experts assess a president. In 2019, we held a major unprecedented conference at the National Press Club, convening 13 leading experts of all different fields, speaking to the dangerous state of the world and the need for fit leadership, speaking from each of their perspectives. In 2020, I wrote Profile of a Nation, Trump's Mind, America's Soul, predicting that Donald Trump's fragile psychology would lead to violence and would not allow his so-called presidency to end with the loss of an election. In 2022, we learned that the White House Chief of Staff, General John Kelly, secretly purchased our book as an owner's manual on how to contain a dangerous president. In 2024, we learned that Joint Chiefs of Staff General Mark Milley was holding our book and speaking our language in terms of Trump being dangerous and being a fascist, since fascism is nothing more than mental pathology in politics. 2 months ago, we held another major unprecedented conference at the National Press Club, convening 19 top national security experts and renowned mental health experts to discuss the more dangerous state of the world and the need for fit leadership. Subtitled, The Much More Dangerous Case of Donald Trump. With the conference, we released the new book, The More Dangerous Case of Donald Trump. 40 psychiatrists and mental health experts warn anew. If you visit the World Mental Health Coalition website at worldmhc.org or my own website at bandylee.com, you will see how hard we tried to warn the American public of what we are seeing today, an ever more dangerous second Trump presidency. Let me read from you a passage from the Tao Te Ching. When the master governs, the people are hardly aware that he exists. Next best is a leader who is loved. Next, one who is feared. The worst is one who is despised. If you don't trust the people, you make them untrustworthy. The master doesn't talk, he acts. When his work is done, the people say, "Amazing, we did it all by ourselves." That's from the main text of Taoism. We are about to have the worst kind of leader, a leader who is despised. And not trusting the people he deceived into giving him power, he will act with paranoia throughout his reign. And people believing that they have done anything by themselves is the last thing he would wish to allow. Hence, we are about to see not only change, but monumental change and destruction. This is what the electorate has chosen, even after all the devastations he brought, including over 1 million American deaths because of incompetent COVID-19 management, political violence as we have never seen in our lifetimes, resulting from a dangerous psychology, and the existential crisis of our democracy because of an incapacity to accept equality. Yet, despite the accuracy of all our warnings and predictions, including the severity of his mental impairments and the timeline of his unraveling and descent into violence, politicians, prosecutors, and the press, to the end, never consulted with us again. Even those who vigorously tried to break the barrier were unsuccessful. Here's what one reporter of a major magazine said. Unfortunately, after dozens of hours of interviews and research, none of the places I pitched would take the article about mental health professionals warning against Donald Trump's danger. The APA did a lot of damage, apparently, but I can now, to a smaller degree, empathize with your experience. I appreciate all the time you and the others gave me. If it's any consolation, I learned a lot and found so much explanatory power in your assessments. Thank you again. Weeks earlier, a reporter of one of the biggest newspapers in Germany had asked, what does Harris have to do in the last days to stop Trump from returning to the White House? My answer at the time, which never got published, was that Kamala Harris needs now to consult with mental health experts. Her pointing out Donald Trump's mental defects is good, but merely saying so does not have credibility. Mental health labels are not mere insults, but indicate real, sometimes serious conditions that require the application of standardized evaluation methods and neutral medical management principles. She needs to couple her words with a momentum of action in this direction, not as a political strategy, but as a serious means of protecting the country the way one should. The severity of Trump's signs has required specialists since a long time ago, and reversing this trend of treating him as a normal political candidate will be as refreshing as her candidacy, showing real leadership. But of course, that was a tall order to start, a very tall order, and I would not enter into any discussion about what the Harris campaign could or could not have done. They have conducted themselves admirably and heroically to the end. Would we ask, what did Adolf Hitler's opposition do wrong? Or what did Benito Mussolini's opposition do wrong? We're talking about a far progressed mental health pandemic that is already insurmountable for just about anyone to handle. So as Albert Einstein said, we cannot solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. I, of course, warned of this result when the American Psychiatric Association aggressively launched its campaign to remove all mental health experts from the media at the height of our influence, resulting in a more sweeping silence than even during the times of the greatest ignorance and stigmatization of mental illness. So in my view, all subsequent calamities could have been prevented, save for this act. As a consequence, this will be the first American presidential election that has gone the way it has, purely for mental health reasons. The Guardian has been one newspaper that has echoed our concerns about a death spiral, and recognizing dramatic implications for wars in Ukraine and the Middle East, the health of American democracy, reproductive rights, inequality, and our collective environmental future. Historian Heather Cox Richardson perceptively noted that while there is no doubt that both racism and sexism played an important role in Harris's defeat, her conclusion is that both of those things were amplified by the flood of disinformation that has constructed a virtual political reality through modern media, a false narrative in order to control public debate. These techniques, she said, perverted democracy, turning it from the concept of voters choosing their leaders into the concept of voters rubber stamping the leaders they had been manipulated into backing. That's very much in line with our thinking. And of course, we add on the additional component of Trump contagion as an irrational emotional force that results from the spread of symptoms by virtue of having a severely mentally impaired person in a powerful position with vast exposure to the public for many years. But things do not have to stay this way. Just as the mind can be powerful in subverting reality when symptomatic, it can be powerful in accessing any infinite number of solutions. Tragedies can sometimes become a powerful catalyst for seeking that which is beyond, including beyond the thinking we used when we created the problems. Therefore, this may be a perfect time to pause. The advice I've always given to my medical or law students as they go into quote unquote battle with disease or in defense of their clients is that in an emergency, you first check your own pulse. It follows the dicta, physician, heal thyself, or know thyself before addressing anyone else. These same imperatives apply to societal crises. In other words, in order to achieve greater outward power to meet the moment, citizens should, seemingly paradoxically, first tune into themselves and meet their own needs. This involves making sure we are getting enough sleep, eating healthy meals, connecting with friends and family, and balancing personal time with following the news, seeking and cultivating what is beyond the present moment and ourselves, we develop the potential to return with greater creativity and strength. Then we will learn that no matter how terrible the moment, nothing is forever, and only the eternal in us will be.